It's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Zara Basiri. She's the founder and CEO of Zara Basiri Digital Dental Marketing Agency. She is a dental marketing consultant and former dental nurse and patient treatment plan coordinator. She founded Zara Basiri Digital Dental Marketing Agency in 2016 and currently serves clients from around the world, including the United States, UK, and Australia. Her dentist clients' revenue increased by average 34 to 40% within the first 6 months of working with her and her team. I love Australia. I was telling you before the show that when I started lecturing, there was this couple named George and his lovely wife and Ruth, and they own George Port, Ruth Port Laboratory. And starting in 90, every 5 years, they'd have me come down and speak in Auckland, New Zealand, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth. I have to admit, though, Perth was my favorite. My gosh, you fly 16 hours from LA to Sydney or Auckland. But when you get to Sydney, it's like flying across the United States. It's another 5-hour flight to the other corner by Perth. And by the time you get to Perth, you almost feel like you're in a sci-fi movie, like nobody has seen. Like I was at a dentist's house and we were going to go get groceries for dinner. You know, in America, you go to one shop, has everything in the store, right? But we had to go to a vegetable place, a bread place, a meat market. I mean, we went to like 5 different stores for dinner, and there wasn't even, in 1990, the first time I went there wasn't even an all under one roof retail grocery store. And oh my God, did I love that. Just unbelievable. So how are you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor to have you on the show. The reason I wanted to have you on the show is, but by the way, I think it's interesting. You say you were a former dental nurse. I mean, it's so obvious that in every hospital in America, you're a nurse, and then in a dental office, you're an assistant or a hygienist. And I also thought it was interesting how you have a dental marketing agency, even though you used to be a dental nurse. Because usually if you're a dental assistant, a dental nurse, a dental hygienist, or a dentist, you can't tell I can't tell Zara she has 11 cavities, so I'm just going to point to the worst one and say, well, you know, your insurance will only cover $1,000, and the worst tooth in the whole world is just that one right there, so let's just do one tooth dentistry, because I can't tell her she needs 11 cavities and it's going to cost all this money. They just own it all. They feel guilty. They feel sorry. So they always do one tooth dentistry. And I wouldn't want to go to a doctor and have the doctor say, well, I can't tell him he has diabetes, needs a bypass, and his left foot cut off. I'm just gonna pick like the worst one because I don't want to tell. It's like, dude, you're a doctor. I'm the patient. I want you to tell me everything that's wrong. And the only thing, my oldest sister read all the religions and said that they didn't have a name of a person, place, or thing in any of all the religions except for the golden rule. And you can find it just almost like plagiarism. Treat other people like you want to be treated. And every time I'm looking at a patient, I'm trying to tell them what I would want them to be telling me, that Zara, you have 11 cavities, and here they all are, and if it was my mouth, this is what I would do. So I think it's interesting that you were a dental assistant and used to present treatment. When I talk to dentists, the number one thing they hate and they're afraid of, they're like, oh, I can't sell dentistry. I can't tell Zara she's got 12 cavities. So that's why they just go to pain. Well, is one of them bothering you? Does one of them hurt so bad you can't sleep? So where did you lose all that fear where you could just look at someone and say, dude, you got 12 cavities. Here's what you need to do. Where does that come from?
Well, the main job will be done by the dentist. So they will let them know as they check their teeth, they will let them know what's going on, and if there is a tooth with very bad condition and everything that needs to be taken care of as soon as possible. So the clinics that I was working, especially the last 2 years, it was pretty good, and the system that we were having was very good since the owners were a young couple and they were on top of they were in different courses, educating themselves and everything. And they were coming and teaching me and other staff, which was great opportunity, and I will thank them for that. So they would have done, the dentist would have given the initial explanation on what's going on in their mouths. And then in terms of booking them for the next appointments, which mostly is at the front to discuss with the patient and everything. If I was at the front as well, or helping them, handing them over to the front, or was sitting there, the dentist would come out and hand over the patient to the front desk. And the thing was that in front of the patient, the dentist would have told the front desk what they have done today. Like, we've done a full mouth check for Zara today, and she needs to do a couple of fillings, and let's say there is one tooth that needs immediate attention for root canal and things like that. I would like, and another part of it was that the dentist would have said in front of the patient to the front desk that I would like to see Zara again in a couple of weeks for her root canal first, because it needs to be done as soon as possible. Otherwise, she will lose the tooth. Please help her to book an appointment in 2 weeks' time so we can look after that. So when the patient would have heard that, it was hard for them to say, no, I will book later, I will call later and book later, because there was that respect between patient and the dentist there. And so most of the time, they would have gone ahead and book that one. In other times, if they had a big treatment plan, like lots of fillings, 1 crown or 2 crowns, 1 root canal, things like that, I would have break that one down for them. Usually would have taken a code from their insurance, if they had insurance, using their insurance card to see how much insurance will cover and how much is the gap. And I would have broken down the treatment plan for them to right hand side and left hand side of their mouth or teeth, and telling them how much the gap or out of pocket for them was, and whether they want to do it one by one. If they do it one by one, this is how much they pay in each appointment, and they can do it over a certain period of time. So if they're not comfortable financially, and or they can split it in 2 or 3 appointments, for example, and do one side of their mouth in one go, and the out of pocket is just this one instead of double the amount if they have insurance. And then you can come back in 3 or 4 weeks again and do the other side of the mouth, and insurance will cover some of it, and you only pay this much out of pocket. So when you take them through that, break it down for them and make it simple for them, they can get closer to making a decision to choose their option. They will be like, okay, let's do this option first. Let's break it down to 2 or 3, and let's book for this one first. Or if they weren't comfortable at all, they would have at least booked for 1 or 2 teeth filling or something. So most of the time, it would have ended up in booking for the next treatment. It was working well.
But where I stumble upon is, it seems like so many people that if they choose healthcare, they always tell you, I'm not into sales, man. I can't sell stuff. I'm not a used car trim. First of all, I'm thinking, well, why did you jump to used cars? I mean, if you said you weren't into sales and said you weren't into selling cars, I understand that. But they immediately jump all the way to, I'm not a used car salesman. I'm like, where does that come from? And speaking of new cars, here's the one thing that always blows my mind that I've always noticed, and you know, I like say I've seen this in 50 countries where you'll see a medical dental building and there's 10 dentists in one building, and 9 of the dentists will never do this one time in their life, And one of the dentists in that building out of 10 will do this once a week. And that is, in the United States, the average new car price in America is $33,560, source Kelley Blue Book and USA Today. And on average, an American will buy 13 new cars by age 76. So from 16 to 76, in 60 years, they buy 13 new cars for an average price of $33,560, and 9 out of 10 dentists will practice from 25 to 65 and never sell one treatment plan that costs that of a new car. Yet every time, my 4 boys, anytime one of their friends to this day goes out and buys a new car, they're all excited. They always got to swing by the house and come up and show me. And, you go out there and you walk around the car and you're supposed to like kiss the hubcap or ooh and ah. And they're so excited. And yet they'll never offer their patient like, oh my God, you haven't been to the dentist in 10 years. My God, for $33,560, we could take all the old stuff out of your mouth, fix it brand new, and you will leave here with a brand new smile, a smile makeover, and you'll go show everyone, and you'll just be in love with your teeth. And they'll never do that one time. And they think, since it's your own body, the government should pay for it. It has to be socialized medicine, because I'll buy my 13 new cars for $33,000 a piece, but by God, this is my body. This is not my responsibility. I think Zara should pay more taxes and pay for all of my stuff. It just gets weird in healthcare. And like say, they want to, not only do dentists tell you they don't like sales, they would say, well, I'm not a used car salesman. Dude, I know you're not a used car salesman, and you sure as hell ain't a new car salesman. These Americans will buy 13 new cars, and you've never sold one. What is it about dentists where they have that mental block against sales and making you spend money on something that will make you happy for years and years to come? Not to mention the fact that if you take 13 cars divided by 60, so 60 years, 13 cars, that's 4.6 years, not even 5 years. Yet they'll place an implant and it'll fail 10 years later, and the patient will say, well, I think it should be fixed for free. And the dentist's like, you're right, I'm naughty, I did it bad, I'll do it free. When doctors put in artificial hips and knees, they tell them, okay, this will only last 5 years, just like your car. And cars are only driven 4 hours out of 168 hours a week. 4 hours a week out of 168 hours a week. Your teeth, you're using them around the clock, eating, drinking, talking. And the smart doctors that place a lot of implants, they have an implant revision book sitting in the waiting room, so that you can see, oh, when your implant fails or needs to be replaced or needs a revision, here's a book on the procedures we do this. So it's just some mental weird block, and you don't seem to have it. Did you just have a beer one day and drink it away, or how did you get rid of that inhibition to sell dentistry?
So your question is that how it was me that was doing that part for a bit. For in the beginning, the dentist was doing that, but I think the reason dentists didn't want to be a seller, maybe it's a bit of older or traditional way of doing dentistry, where people were in pain would have gone to the dentist and they would have done treatment on the spot. But these days it's more about educating patients and looking after, just like any other health, things that you look after your health. Your teeth are one of them. Everyone is these days, they look after everything in their body, from hair, teeth, way, fitness, whatever it is. So for teeth as well, you just educate people as well. These days, it's more of educating patients and letting them know. There are like blogs, there are videos, you can keep posting on your social media and everything. And in the appointments, you can tell the patients about that. that this is how long it's going to take. You can, as you said, you can show them the photos of after like 5 or 10 years. Here's a sample photo, how it's going to look like. So and if the dentist just give an example just like you did with cars, it would be making much better sense to the patients. And usually with these bigger treatments, there are some consent forms that we get each patient to go through them fully. And as soon as they understand fully, they're happy with it, they agree with it, they sign it to make sure that they fully understand how the procedure works and everything. So, yeah.
And I also love your detail. I mean, you start. But by the way, you have two. I have two websites for you. I have 𝘠𝘢𝘳𝘢 and I have ZaraBasiri.com. Which one do you like one of them more than the other, or is there one my homies should go to that's better than the other?
Easy Marketing is a parent digital marketing agency, but we're mostly focused on dental industry because that's where my passion is.
That's where your passion. That's where you've been the longest. My gosh! And then on Twitter, you're at ZaraBasiri.com. And by the way, Twitter is really significant. It was not that big of a deal until our last president was on Twitter like 25 times a day. And so in the United States, I got to give you a marketing tip. If you're old, fat, bald, and senile like me, you're like a dentist like 50 to the grave, they're all on Twitter. If they're young and beautiful and healthy like you, they're on Instagram. And so if you want a bunch of young folks, you go to Instagram. And if you want a bunch of old senile dentists like me, you go to Twitter. So what is the difference for the dentist if they went to easymarketing.com.au versus ZaraBasiri.com? And let's say they want more new patients. That is their main objective. Which website would you send them to?
ZaraBasiri.com.
ZaraBasiri.com. Okay, now here's one of the reasons I would never get into your business. And here, I'll just be honest. This is why I would not do your business. Because you'll go out and do everything right, and you'll go do the marketing, and you'll deliver 100 new patient calls to that dental office over the next quarter. And then I'll go to the dentist and I'll say, well, what are you doing now? And he said, well, I tried Zara. I tried her marketing agent, but it didn't work. I'll say, why? Well, okay, well, in the first 3 months of this year, January, February, March, how many incoming calls did you have in 2020 in the first 3 months? I don't know. Okay, well, now you've been using Zara. How many incoming calls did you have on the beginning of this 3 months? I don't know. How many people did you convert? If 100 people called, how many does your receptionist convert to get a butt in the chair? I don't know. How many of those incoming calls went to voicemail and no one even listened to the voicemail? I don't know. I mean, it's like you're like a painter selling paintings to blind people. I mean, I don't know how Stevie Wonder is going to appreciate my painting because they don't do anything right. They don't know, they don't record their phone calls. I can't call any major publicly traded company without hearing this message may be recorded so that if our receptionist doesn't do everything right, we're going to educate her. And if we can't educate her after a month, we're going to fire her and get someone in here that can do their job. So when I look at small businesses in the United States, you know, the Wall Street, everything in the news is only about 15% of the economy. 85% of the economy is small business, like a dental office, 25 employees or less, usually doing less than $1 million. And in those offices, the guy in the back on the welding machine who brings a lunch pail, that's a low paying, that's just a normal paying job. But who's ever answering the incoming call sales or dialing for dollars going out sales, that's the person wearing a suit and tie that makes all the big money. Well, in dentistry, it's reversed. Now that guy that's wearing overalls with a lunch pail. He's like a glorified doctor of dental surgery and thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. And the person answering the phone is no training, marginalized, you know, a $10 an hour employee. They don't record the calls. They don't measure the calls. They don't do anything. I mean, my gosh. And then there's another side of it. Because their hours are bad, they don't take the right insurance, their staff is dysfunctional. Since they're always running off patients, they try to, instead of fixing what's wrong with the practice, with the patient experience, and making every patient experience a new patient experience, everyday low-cost shopping, not, oh, we're going to have a sale on Labor Day and Memorial Day and 4th of July. No, everyday low-cost, everyday smile. Since they're not going to do the work, every time they lose 25 patients, they just want to buy drugs from you and say, hey, will you sell us 25 new patients to replace the ones we pissed off and won't come back? So my God, it's just like a no-win situation. If you had a everyday new patient experience on every new patient, you keep your customers for life. But they're not going to do that. And then when you do your job, they're not going to do their job and measure it, convert them. So I don't know how you win in this business. How do you do it?
Great question. That's true. In some cases, never happened to me just yet, which I'm grateful for that, because when the first time I talk to a dentist, I will ask them about their process in the clinic. When they pick up the phone, talk to the patient, who talks to the patient, what process do you take the patient through? I will ask, as a marketing partner, I will ask them about all those process details, because as you said, it's very important to have the right process and right system. In my own business as well, I wouldn't hire someone if they're not the best at it. I will be the one that is looking after that part until I find someone that can replace me and be very good at that. So yeah, it's really important to hire someone for the front desk, which is the very first impression with the patients when you get on the phone and everything. So with me, I will ask dentists what their process is and find the gaps if there is any. And in terms of them claiming that they haven't got any results or anything, I have heard that some people or dental marketing agencies have had problem that they've done great jobs, sent a lot of patients to them, but the dentist or the dental clinic owner wasn't happy with the results. They were saying that not many patients came, booked an appointment or something. I've heard that, but in my system, in my process, we track everything. First, I will know what the dentist process is. And then second, on our end, we track everything. And we make sure we remind the dentist or their staff that there is these leads, so they don't miss out anything. Nothing leaks as much as possible. So with phone calls, we track everything. We do offer recording of phone calls if the dentist wants to, because it's a bit of confidentiality thing too. It's up to them. But we do offer recording phone calls for their training purposes. We track all the phone calls. We track all the visitors, where they go, how long they spend on the website. And when they contact the dental office, we'll quickly get notifications. If they call the dental clinic and they miss the phone call, the clinic missed the phone call, they quickly get email notification that you had a missed call from this number. Please call them back. So as much as notifications we can give them to make sure new patients prospects and opportunities don't leak out. And we are in marketing, and as a person who's in marketing, I love numbers. I'd love to know my numbers in everything. And it's very important to know your numbers. If you know your numbers, you're gonna know where you're going. So I will make sure I know my numbers in everything. And when we give them a report on how we've done in the last month or something, we give them the numbers, but not in a way that is confusing. And so marketing can be a lot of numbers and everything, in a way that we translate those numbers to what results they have got. So it makes sense to them on how well the marketing campaign has done. And we keep, especially first 3 to 6 months, we keep checking on them to see how they're going. We tell them, yep, you got 10 or 20 inquiries, something last week or last few days. How was it? How are you going? Do you have any question? And they will give us a feedback. And accordingly, since I was in dental industry myself, it helps a lot. I can give them tips on how to deal with certain situation, or I can give my clinical tips too if they are not, most clinics these days are already master at those, but it helps that I've been in dental nurse for 4 years too, so I can help that in that area too. But I know very good people, expert people that train front desks too. I'm friends with them, and I'm looking forward to partnering up with them. So if a client has an issue converting the new patients to booked appointments or treatments, or their front desk has issues answering patients' inquiries on the phone to make them help them book an appointment, I'm hoping and looking forward to partnering with them and making sure we can cover every aspect of dental clinic to make sure their system and process is right and the conversion is as high as possible.
I love your post on Dental Town. This guy asked under marketing recall activation. He says, I don't know exactly how to phrase or what voicemail to leave on patients' answering machines to have them call back to schedule. My entire November is blank. Even if the patients who have not come in 2020 showed up, I would be in great shape. Currently, the receptionist calls and says, hello, I am Mary calling from Dr. J's office. Please call us back to schedule your dental hygiene visit. Not one person is called back in the whole last week. A lot of people I spoke to say, make the call, but what exactly is your receptionist saying that the patients call back? And then you answered. How would you answer that? And is that a good strategy? Calling your patients to saying, you haven't been in all year, call me back and schedule. I mean, what did you think of his reactivation strategy?
So yeah, I remember I gave a long answer to that question, and then the dentist messaged me directly as well, and he appreciated, and he asked me a few more questions on what to do, and I answered those too, and he was pretty happy and thanked me. And then I was like, great, I've done something positive today. I'm in marketing, but I
it is one of the most amazing. Dental Town is just a way to generate so many leads. So many people tell me that the more time they spend on Dental Town answering questions, the more leads they get. But all your answers are long because they're all thorough, like clinical admin procedures, patient handling in the clinic, running on time, greeting patients, handing over patients to the front desk and explaining to the front desk what procedures have been done today in the presence of the patient, and let the front desk know how to help the patient book for their next treatment, for their next appointment in 2 weeks' time. I mean, you're seriously, you're like, you're so thorough. You're like Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein in quantum mechanics and relativity. I mean, you don't leave anything out of your formula. You know what I mean? It is a complete formula from A to Z. You're extremely cerebral in how you do this. So a lot of dentists, when dentists call you, I think that I really like, who was it? It was Sigmund Freud. He said that if anybody has a mental issue, that means we're all capable of it. Like if someone has depression, well, trees don't get depression. We don't know if turtles get depression, but if someone can, say a murder, if someone can kill someone, that means we're all capable of it. So all the pathology describes the norm. And I believe, like right now, everybody's calling a bunch of people narcissists. Well, we're all narcissists because we only see the world from our personal framework, and everything they see in the world comes through the filter you saw. And so young people, everything they do is Instagram. So they just want to build their practice on Instagram. And I say, well, what are you selling on Instagram? Well, I do full mouth rehab and implants and all on fours. Yeah, I don't think those people are on Instagram. When I look at people crushing it on old people, direct mail still works, email still works, but I don't have any proof that Instagram works. Do you think younger people try to do all their marketing on Facebook and Instagram, even though the clients they might be wanting to get are old like me? I'm going to turn 59 this year. I can't tell you anything I ever bought from Instagram. In fact, if I have to buy it on Amazon, well, hell, I'll tell my assistant to go buy it on Amazon. I'm not going to get on Amazon and actually buy something. But do you think that that people bring their own marketing? Like if you're a young kid and you're an environmentalist and you think all that direct mail is pollution and trash and you throw it all away, well, then they're never going to do direct mail. So do you think people bring their own preferences in marketing to the table, and that may bias what works best for them for their practice?
Well, for the reasons that you said, that different age groups or demographics have different daily activities and they're active in different platforms for the same reason. If you want to have more exposure to more people with different demographics, unless you're targeting only a specific age range, then you focus on one platform. Otherwise, if you want to get more exposure, the best thing is to be where your different audiences are, whether it's on social media, whether they jump on search engine and look up for a dentist, they're just straight and they know what they want, or they check their mail, as you said, just send out mails and everything. It's just that with traditional methods, you can't just track them much and it might cost more. But if that's your target patients, if that's the demographic you're targeting, then you can invest in that to send out letters or flyers, marketing flyers. Otherwise, you can put your eggs in different baskets pretty much and get as many exposure as you want, unless you're targeting a specific demographic, and then you just focus on that platform to reach out to your audience. It depends to the clinic owner's preference pretty much.
And who is your best customer? Who needs you the most? There's a lot of people listening to you right now. The lucky ones are just on an hour commute to work in a car. The poor bastards are on a Stairmaster or a treadmill. And I always tell them just to get off. It's not worth it. You don't want to live that much longer. But who would call you and they would just be like a magical customer for you? You could really help them. Your skill set would help them so much. What is that dentist? What's going on in that dentist's life?
Thank you for that question. But with the clinics that are already, fancy, they're on social media, they're on top of everything, and they just want to scale their clinics and everything, maybe I can help those too. However, I love helping people. I love to see the impact, the change that it brings to the business owner, which dental clinics can be business too, the change that it brings to their life, the big impact that it has with using my skills. So I'd say my target, or not quite target, but the ideal one would be the one that has done marketing before. They haven't got much results. They have no idea what's going on, what results they've got. They didn't know their numbers. Just like you said, they've done marketing for 3 months and they have no idea how many new patients they've got. Or they have this website that they're doing marketing on it, but it's not working for some reason. Or their website needs a bit of boost, or new website that is more modern and is high converting. It doesn't have those elements that these days psychologically persuades new patients or gives them the information they need in order to make decision to book an appointment or choose your clinic over someone else. So I'd say someone that doesn't like the marketing part, they're not too much interested in technology or tech savvy. They want someone to look after all their marketing and technology side fully, so they don't have to worry about it at all. And all they got to worry about is to see that increase in patient flow and then focus on their dentistry. If they love their dentistry, just to focus on that one and just do that one and leave all the marketing side and all their digital presence to us, and see the magic happening and the increase happening.
What technology does this work with? Like, do certain practice management systems work better for you in your office, or are you agnostic and it doesn't matter what system they're using?
There are multiple different types of booking systems, but the ones that can take online bookings and can be integrated with online platforms or their website would be the best, because these days it's quicker. People are impatient. They want their work or appointments to be done quickly. So rather than getting an inquiry online, it's best for patients to be able to click on a button and get connected to their booking system directly and book online. To make the process as fast as possible, it will help convert a lot more. With that being said, we also have our own CRMs or customer relationship management systems. It's a SaaS that we just jumped on it like a month ago, in order to help our clients to convert more patient inquiries to a booked appointment. It has a lot of automations and everything with the least amount of work and like one-click kind of thing to take the patients or new inquiries through automations and automatic follow-ups and everything to make sure they show up to their appointment. If they want to, we can connect their websites or landing pages or whatever online platform they have. We can connect it to that CRM that we have as well. And they will get all the notifications of new inquiries and everything. But at the same time, when we have that system in place, we can not only track everything, but also make sure every new inquiry will be followed up enough with text message and emails or voicemails to make sure they will convert to a booked appointment, because the front desk in a dental clinic might be super busy to look after all those new patients. So that's one way of helping dental clinics that get busy or don't have a proper system in place to convert a new inquiry to patient. That's why we brought up this system, to make sure we automate things for them as much as possible, like follow-ups and things like that, if the front desk is busy, to increase their revenue that way. So this system is new from last month. Even before that, we were successful in increasing revenues. So I'm really looking forward to implementing this CRM, which is going to help to increase their revenue even more, because the marketing and conversion is going to get closer to each other.
How important do you think recording the phone call is? I mean, is that one of the foundational parts of your belief and program, or is it, or you could take it or leave it? How important is that to you?
I think it's very important, to the point that, as I said, I know a friend that their business is fully about training the front desk, recording all the phone calls and training the front desk with the phone calls. If the dentists don't want to go through that 10, 15 years of hiring and firing and hiring and firing front desk and wasting a lot of time and money and a lot of patients, losing a lot of patients, it's very important from day one or even today is not late, whenever they want to start recording the phone calls. And it's just whoever that comes on board, just train them with those sample phone calls. Training is massive. It's going to help a lot. So they save a lot of money and not lose a lot of patients training new people all the time. You just pick the top recordings and give them a few samples, and after a few times they will pick up what's working.
You know, I've seen this rodeo before, where you know, when they start doing online bookings a lot on the website, we have that. And what's really weird about us is we use Open Dental, and they had a widget for that or whatever. The first day we put it up, I mean, the very first day we got a patient. And I've seen this movie before. I've seen this movie a couple times. It ain't my first rodeo. When they came out with ATM machines, my dad and I both thought that was never going to take off, because why would you not want to go inside? You get to see your favorite teller, you get a red sucker, she does all the work for you. And as we would go in, we'd see them playing with this ATM machine, and then we'd come out, we're done, we got our sucker, and the guy was still doing it, you know, he's still trying it, and it was like 16-bit, took forever, it was stupid. But what I found out is this: when we put the scheduling on the deal, is that, okay, so for the first 200,000 years, all the humans live right there in this little area by the Dead Sea, the you know, Somalia, Ethiopia, right there, a little up from the sea levels in those mountains, 200,000 years. And look how far they spread out, from Australia to Argentina. People, all species, realize that even their own kind is predator or prey. No one likes their mother-in-law. No, you know, guests stink after 3 days. Everybody wants their own space. And what I missed on the ATM machine is that there's a lot of people that don't like to deal with people. If they could do their banking transaction on their phone, take a picture of the check, send it in the ATM machine, or go to my dental website and schedule an appointment without ever having to talk to a human. And then you go to psychiatrists, and they say the difference between an introvert and extrovert is very simple. An introvert, other people drain them. And an extrovert, other people fuel them. Like if you go to a party with an introvert, I'm an extrovert, you go to a party with an introvert, after like 1 hour, they've had 2 beers, they're tired, they want to go home. Whereas after 2 beers, I'm dancing, 6 beers, I'm on the roof, and until the sun comes up, I'm still being fueled. And that's I don't know what the break-in is between introvert and extrovert, but this online booking, online scheduling, half the planet doesn't want to deal with a human. They find humans exhausting, and I think so. So my specific question to you is: are you a fan of this online booking? Because a lot of dental offices tell me, "Well, I just can't have Zara just schedule her own damn appointment. I don't know if she's got gum disease, or I don't know if she's an easy cleaning, or I don't know anything about her. I have to get involved with this decision." Where do you sit on that decision?
So when I was a dental nurse, we had online bookings coming through. The point is that the goal is that they commit to a date and time. They want to come in. It shows that how they are committed. They want to come to the appointment. What we have at the front desk, what you do, or what I used to do, we receive the online bookings, and then we call those patients back. We see what, even if they write down what the appointment is about, we call them back and ask them questions, and put down notes under their file, and ask them a bit more questions about what they put in or what they booked about, and to make sure that if they have any issues, if they are in pain, or it's just general checkup and clean, and put down notes. So the dentist would have seen the notes on the day and went through it. That's how we would have done it. So we still would call the patient that booked online to confirm what the appointment is about, and if there is anything more, if there is any more pain or any other issues that they'd like to discuss. So we still used to do that. It's not just online, and the dentist has no idea they show up to an appointment, they book for checkup and clean, but they have gum infection. So the front desk would have given a call and found out more and put in the notes for the dentist.
Interesting. And when someone calls you up and they say, I need, I need 10 more patients a month, how holistic can you get and say, okay, well, I'll try to deliver 10, but I want to record the phone calls so I can see these. I want to track these leads. I want them to use a different number so I can track it. I want to hear the conversion rate. And I guess what I'm asking is this: how many times does a client call you up and say, Zara, I need help. I want to go to ZaraBasiri.com and I need some help. And then you sit there and start analyzing and say, okay, well, your website, it sucks. I don't know who's answering the phone, but I think she has a head injury. In order to do this, we're going to have to start with a new website. Someone else has got to answer the phone. How many times do you go in there and just think, my God, there's so many things wrong with this office, I just can't do some advertising and fix this problem?
Yep. So, as you said, when they come through, I'll take them, as I said, I'll take them through a process. I'll find out what their process is. And when the front desk calls the patients, what they ask, what they find out and everything. And in terms of website and everything, I will give them my honest opinion that this website needs to be redesigned, or you need a brand new website and everything. Otherwise, you are just wasting money doing marketing with us. If you don't do that, if you put one thing out of this and don't do it, it's going to be just waste of money, and you're not going to get as much as result as you wished. So I will let them know. I'll be honest and everything. And if they say they want 10 patients and everything, I will do my market research to see what the demand in their area, local area is. And based on the numbers that we have and from our past campaigns on how much conversion we have and everything, based on our average numbers, I will find out accordingly if there is a demand in that area, in their clinic area, how many of them are going to potentially turn to an inquiry, and based on our existing numbers on average for conversion, how many of them potentially are going to end up booking and showing up to the appointment. So that way I will know and can give them an estimate on whether 10 patients per week or per fortnight or per month, depending on how much they want, is how achievable it is, or if it's achievable over 6 months or over 12 months, if it's a bigger goal. So yeah, we will do that. And your question was that, what was your main question again? I hope I answered that.
Well, I always ask this with practice management consultants: how do you draw the line that this person answering the phone can be trained and we need to develop this person, versus, like when you go to sports? I mean, if I tried out, by the way, Australian football, that is so different. I mean, football around the world is soccer, but in the United States, football is different. But Australia has its own football. I mean,
Yeah,
it's what?
It's called footy or footy.
Yeah, but it has the shape, but it has the football like the American NFL.
I think it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different.
I think the ball looks similar, I guess,
Yeah. But if you were consulting for that Australian football team, I mean, and I was the star player of the team, you would say, hey, that old fat guy's got to go. I can't work with that guy. How often when you're doing this do you say, yeah, I can train this person, versus you gotta let this person go. We need to get someone else if we're going to deliver these results. So how often, in your experience, are they trainable versus they need to be replaced?
Well, I can offer as I said, there are friends and people that I know, they do the trainings for front desk. They are really good and expert at it. They're experienced for years and years. I can offer to the dental clinic owners to reach out to them and work with them for trainings and everything if they want to, if they know the person is trainable and they want to do that. They want to train the person. So yeah, I can use my resources and refer them to the training programs or people who are experienced in that area, as long as they want to train those people. But other than that, I will be transparent with them, with the dentist, and honest, and tell them that, yep, we can do that, because with staff, I'll do the marketing. Ideally, I don't want to tell them you got to get rid of the front desk, because they're not booking the patients that are coming in. So I will just let them know, and making sure we track everything is good. So they come up to that conclusion that they need to let go of someone or they want to train someone. It's up to them. I will be transparent with them and let them know in advance what the expectation would be, that this might work well in the marketing part, but this part is a bit broken, needs a bit of fixation, training, or change. So then the decision is up to them. They make the decision.
When I look under marketing, I was going to ask you this. I was thinking about this last night. Under marketing, we have marketing, dentist websites, building your website, social media, and I almost wonder if answering the phone answering, because the United States, Australia has the only two of the only three publicly traded dental DSOs in the world, and I podcasted. One's 1-300-SMILES, one's Pacific Health. Phenomenal. It was 1-300-SMILES was Daryl Holmes, show 850. Alex Abrams with Pacific Smiles Group, that's number 841. And those are two of the three. Then the third one's over in Singapore with Dr. Raymond Ang, who will be the richest of them all because he's moving from Singapore and through the rural area of China, and they got 1,400,000,000 people. I mean, it's just Chinese math. If he just gets 1% of that market, he'll be the richest dentist ever. But they all, in America, nobody can get publicly traded because they're not profitable enough. All the three publicly traded companies all have the same business model. They're open 7 to 7, 7 days a week. They don't have hygienists, and they don't have hygienists because they've done the math, and they say, well, if the first appointment is with the dentist will stay in the room about 15 minutes, and their new patient treatment plan accepted, paid for rate is over $400. And then when it's a recall every 6 months, the hygienist will have to wait at least 10 minutes for the exam, and then the dentist will run in there and out of there in like 4 minutes, and we almost can't track any dentistry. So by taking away the $40 an hour hygienist, usually what it is, a $20 an hour assistant can set up the room, go get the patient, take the necessary x-rays. You don't need to be a $40 an hour hygienist to set up a room, go get the patient. So what they do is they have the assistant set up the room, go get the patient, take the x-rays. The dentist comes in to probe and needs an assistant to record, but then they have the dentist scale. Because while the dentist is scaling, if they can keep the dentist in the room for 15 minutes, they'll bond, they'll communicate. Hey, did you see that football game? Hey, did you see this? And what do you think of that? They'll talk. And then when I'm in there scaling, that's a better exam than just blowing air around and looking. But if they can keep them in there for about 15 minutes, everything will get diagnosed, everything will get explained, and treatment will be accepted. And by getting rid of the hygienist and making the doctor stay in the room 15 minutes during that hour cleaning, they're profitable enough to be publicly traded and grow in earnings. Whereas the Americans, they just want to grow in private equity debt. They're like, well, if every time you give me $1 million, I'll go buy another $1 million dental office, or I'll go buy the land and building and build out a new de novo. But none of them are profitable enough to go public, or they'd all go public, and none of them can go public. And when I look at this, when I look at this whole scenario, I just wonder how you think marketing. My little boy told me one time when we were little, I was explaining what marketing was, and Zach was like 6 years old, and he goes, "Oh, so marketing's tricking people." I said, "Tricking people? Where'd you get that?" And he says, "Well, if you were good, they would be coming to you, but you're not good, so you're tricking them to come to you." And I always wonder, if you were open 7 to 7, 7 days a week, would you even need that much marketing? Or do you need marketing to kind of trick the people because you're not open early mornings, you're not open evenings, you're not open Saturdays, you're doing so many things wrong. Oh, but then the ones that do have 1,000 locations, that's the point I was getting, like Aspen Dental. They have their call center like literally a mile from where I'm sitting right now. And I went to that call center, and rule number one of that call center, they don't hire anybody with dental experience because they say it's so hard to break your old habits that we're not even going to go there. We're going to start fresh. And they tried it for years in Chicago, and they just said the people have 10 years experience. They argue and they fight and they argue and they fight. And they're like, you can get a stranger off the street to get your contact information, your name, offer you. Like if you call dental office, "My tooth hurts." They want to talk for an hour. You call Aspen, "My tooth hurts." Well, is this, who is it? Who am I talking to? Who is this? Is this Zara? Zara, you're in Australia, in Victoria. Where are you at? Melbourne? Are you Melbourne or Sydney?
Yeah. Melbourne.
Yeah, so are you on the I got 3 locations in Melbourne. Would this one be good for you? I could see you today at 10, and then if you say, "Well, I can't get there till 10, I could get there till noon." Okay, well, let's get you in at noon. I mean, they just go to, when you call, they're going to find out that you're Zara Basiri. They're going to get your phone number. They're going to try 3 or 4 times to get you scheduled in the chair. And then when my dentist friend comes by after work and he wants to go drinking, I can sit there on my cell phone, call his front desk before she left, said, "Yeah, I just moved to Phoenix, and my last dentist said I need 4 crowns. Do you do crowns?" And she'll say, "Yes, we do crowns." I go, "Oh, thank God. Okay, well, hey, thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later." And she'll say, "Okay, goodbye." And I'm like, wow. She didn't get my name. She doesn't know my number. She didn't try to convert me. She didn't offer me to come in right now. I mean, 4 crowns. I should have heard my buddy's phone ring and say, "Hey, get back here. Somebody just moved to Phoenix and needs 4 crowns. Get back." I told them to come down here, and they don't do any of that. And my last rant against dentists is I only see 2 entitled departments, government and healthcare. I mean, you don't see a fireman at a fire say, "Well, we get lunch at 12, and I know your house is on fire, and I know your mom's still up there in the attic, but we go from lunch from 12 to 1. Like, you'll go to a dental office, they'll have a cancellation at 11. So they did nothing for an hour. Then someone walks in, they're like, "Well, we can't see now, we're going to lunch now." Yeah, we've been sitting here for an hour not doing shit, but now it's time to go to lunch. And then at 5 o'clock, they start telling people at 4 o'clock they can't come down. "Well, I know you're in pain, and you can't come in now because it's 4, and we close at 5, and a root canal takes an hour, and God forbid if anybody in the government or dentistry would stay 1 minute past 5 o'clock. And I almost look at all these young people and say, you know what? They're so lazy and entitled. Everyone at the government, you only see lines. You don't see lines at a grocery store. You don't see lines anywhere unless the government's involved or it's healthcare. That's the only place you're ever going to stand in line and wait. No one would say, "Oh, Zara, don't come in now and buy 4 crowns. Stand in line and wait a couple days and make an appointment to give." Everyone else like, "Zara, if you got money for me, run on down right now and give me all the money you can give me." And so in dentistry, I have to agree that maybe hiring people with no dental experience is better. And if you're afraid of opening up your own dental office, if you're not afraid to work, if you're not afraid to hustle, if you're not afraid to work through lunch and stay late, my God, if you go into dentistry and you actually have a strong work ethic and you like to hustle, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, you can't lose in dentistry because it's so non-competitive. Do you agree with any of that rant, or am I just completely insane?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, if you love helping people and you want to hustle and everything, I agree with that. That's how I do it, as well. But I didn't have dental clinic, but with dentists, if the dental clinic that I worked, especially for the past last 2 years, they were like that. They were hustlers. They would have made any minute count and look after their patients. So I learned a lot from them, and I'd like to thank them here for all the things that they taught me. And I really liked the way they were doing business, looking after patients, and um, building relationship with the patient more than just the patient dentist, more of like friendship, and looking after them. And if someone needed help, they were there for them. We would have stayed extra, wouldn't have happened too often. But there were times that it happened, and we would have stayed back and helped the patient maybe even 1 hour extra. And I totally agree with that, because dentistry, if I tried to get into dental school 3 times because I loved it so much. With dentistry, if I was a dentist, I would have loved to help people to get out of pain or whatever issue they have if it's urgent. So I look at it the same way too. If there was someone coming at after hours and they needed help, I would have been there to help them.
Now, have you talked to the CEO of those two publicly traded dental companies? Have you talked to the owner of 1-300 Smiles or any of those guys? Or
No, I haven't.
well, my gosh, you need to talk to Daryl Holmes, founder of 1-300 Smiles, and you need to talk to Alex Abrams of Pacific Smiles Group, and email me and how you want them to contact you, and I'll reply to them and tell them that if they don't call you and take you to a free lunch or free dinner of your choice, the next time I'm in Australia, I will not go drinking with them. And but the thing is that every country is different. I felt so bad when I came out with my 30-day dental MBA back in the day, and it's available for free on YouTube and iTunes. Just Dr. Fran's 30-day dental MBA. When I went to MBA school, I bought my first laptop. It was 1998. I took notes, and when I was all done, those notes were about 30 hours long, and I called it Dr. Fran's 30-day dental MBA. And it's timeless. I mean, people who listen to it just like last week will say, well, it's like geometry. Nothing's going to change in the people. But I felt really, really bad because some dentists lost their license by listening to it because they started advertising in like Hong Kong and Romania where it was illegal, and they weren't even aware enough that it was illegal, and they started doing all this stuff, and the next thing you know, the dental authorities. And I had a guy in Hong Kong and a guy in Romania that I went way out of my way to take the blame for that and try to, I was calling my contacts at the American Dental Association, everything I could, just to save these guys' license. And I was able to do it, but I felt so horrible. But this state that I'm in Arizona, there's 50 states in Arizona. And the real confusing thing about the United States is, most countries, their dental laws apply to the country. But in the United States, each state has their own laws, and they're so different. But in Arizona, you don't even have to be a dentist to own a dental office. So a lot of people, just like you, move 10,000 miles around the world, because when you get to Arizona, you might not have a dental license, you might not be a dentist, but you can sure as hell buy a dental office, you can start a dental office. And my favorite hygienist in the whole world got so sick and tired of all the crap at all of her jobs, she finally just said, you know what, I'm just gonna start my own damn dental office. And she's here in Arizona and owns 10 dental offices. And she reminds me of the first mentor of mine when I got here. When I got to Arizona, it was 1987. And there was this like 85-year-old Jewish lady that owned 4 offices. They said, dude, you got to meet her. She's in a big limo, a driver drives her around. So I meet her, and she tells me that, she fled Germany. And she was Jewish, and by 38, she was out of there, but she was already married, she had kids, she got here, and she found out that Americans wouldn't take her dental license. And I get that, because, I mean, Germany, that's where they make Mercedes-Benz and Volvo. I mean, we're the home of Chrysler and Pontiac. I mean, we make the world's shittiest cars. So, who would accept someone who came from a country that makes Mercedes-Benz and Porsche? But she went and got a lawyer, and the lawyer said, well, you can't practice with your hands. But I'm reading this law. It says nothing about that you can't own a dental office. It says you, so you can own a dental office. You just can't do dentistry. So she told me that she cried and cried, and she thought about, going back to dental school for 4 years, but they didn't have any money. They came here with the shirt off their back. They already had kids. So she was handcuffed behind her back. She just could own a dental office. She said it was the luckiest thing that ever happened to her because she couldn't waste all of her time just doing fillings 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. All she could do is work on the business. And by the time I hooked up with her, holy moly, she had 4 offices doing about $2.5 million each. She's like 80 years old, $10 million a year, netting about $1.5 million in cash, having some drive her around, and she got to see her team, and she got to see people, and she was having the time of her life. And she said, you know what, Howard? If I would have been able to practice dentistry, I probably would have wanted to get out and retire by 65 like everyone else, and that was 20 years ago. I would have retired 20 years ago, and who knows what I'd be doing. I just would have faded away. But the fact that they took my license, they did not accept my German license. She goes, it was the luckiest thing that ever happened to me, and at the time, I thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And so I want you to meet, because I know Daryl and I know Alex, and they're really, really wise men. And you're a child, you're young, you should have a mentor. And these are, I'd meet Alex first because he's old and fat and bald, and those are always the smartest dentists in the room. It's never the dentist with hair. It's always the bald one. I'd meet Alex, I'd meet Daryl, and I would just say, Howard says that, you're publicly traded, you own 100 offices. You could teach me something. And then if I was you, I would go to a country like United States, like Arizona, where you could actually build a dental office. So you'll work with other people, you'll sell them your services, but if someday you want to have your breakout and just say, you know what, I'm going to be in control of my own destiny, I'd move to the United States and I would own your own dental office. And to every dental hygiene, I don't care if you're a doctor's wife listening. You know what I want to hear? I want to hear a doctor's wife say, you know what, I listened to your podcast. My husband's an idiot. I finally just started my own dental office away from my husband, and now my office is doing $1 million a year, and my husband's office is doing $500,000 a year, and now all because of your podcast, I make more money than my husband and didn't have to go to 8 years of dental school. That's the email I'm waiting for, but that's my advice. Is there, last but not least, again, she has 2 websites. 𝐂𝐫𝐿marketing.com.au is the parent company of the website. ZaraBasiri.com, ZaraBasiri.com. And it's got about, it's got her services, it's got testimonials, it's got packages. But here's the deal, dude. Work hard, hustle, and the better location you get, the less marketing you're going to do. A lot of dentists they'll say, oh, well, man, I was going to go right there, but they wanted like $20 a square foot a year. And I was able to find this little shithole that only costs $1 a square foot a year, and nobody can find it. You got to go down 3 rabbit holes to get to it. So the better your location, if I can't see you, when I drive by your office in a car, you don't exist. I was reading a 100-year-old book that was all the way back to, what's Dodge City in Kansas? Used to be 100 years ago. That was a big shootout tavern, crazy place. And some guy wrote a business book back then, and he said, if they can't see you from the horse's trail, you don't exist. And that's why the motel, the bar, the saloon would be right there on Main Street, right where McDonald's is. So get a good location, be an owner, operator. I mean, there's nothing more time wasting than working for someone who's never going to do it. And as your office gets more successful, that's how you attract more team members, because they say, I see your office is always going for it. I'd just rather be on your team. We saw that in American football, where a coach got all the credit for the Patriots, multiple Super Bowl victories. But then when their star player went to another team, everybody got to see the reality that the reason that coach could attract so many great players because they all wanted to play with Tom Brady. And then when Tom Brady's not there anymore, now all those great players want to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So greatness attracts greatness. And my God, you're great. You're amazing. You've done so much in so much little time that I recommend that you just move to where you can open up your own dental office and go network with Daryl and Alex.
Yeah. Maybe in the future, definitely. I love it so much that I might do it. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for all that you do for dentistry. Thanks for answering questions on Dental Town. It was just an absolute honor to podcast you.
It was an honor. Howard, thank you so much for having me today.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.